New York property owners are now facing the challenge of evicting the unlicensed retailers. But will Mayor Eric Adams, the kind and gentle man that he is, step in to assist? Probably not. According to Benzinga's Margaret Jackson, some shop owners have abandoned their leases, leaving vacant and inaccessible storefronts behind. Most landlords who rented to unlicensed cannabis businesses were unaware or didn't care whether their tenants broke the rules, and the fines didn't seem to faze them, said Jeffrey Hoffman, who works with licensed cannabis companies. I don't know what planet we live on when landlords just take no responsibility for whoever they lease their property to or what happens after they lease it. That is where we are. Per the article, the widespread COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020 caused a surge in retail vacancies across the state. But the following year, New York legalized adult use, creating a new potential tenant pool. Smoke shops, seeing an opportunity, filled the vacant storefronts. And the rest is history. While the state aimed to establish a regulated cannabis industry, the license process was slow, leaving legitimate businesses waiting for approval. The delay allowed unlicensed shops to open quickly, capitalizing off the newly legal market. Brandon Singer, founder and CEO of retail leasing and advisory firm Retail Mona, said many unlicensed cannabis businesses lied to landlords to secure the leases. They'll send a term sheet and they say that they're a deli or a bodega, and then all of a sudden they're opening and they're selling weed.
Oh, that's so good.
That's how it happens.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That's too good.
New York, a hell of a town.
In early 2024, about 2,900 unlicensed cannabis stores were operating in New York. City officials felt powerless to take action because of the concerns about reigniting the war on drugs and limitations imposed on state regulations. As a result, the city council passed a bill that imposed a $10,000 fine on landlords who rented the unlicensed cannabis stores, but the measure proved to be largely ineffective. The high cost of renting commercial space in the city was a major contributing factor. According to CBRE, the average asking rent along retail corridors of Manhattan was $688 per square foot, or a monthly rent of $43,000 for a 750 square foot store. But this April, shit changed. Governor Kathy Hochul flew down and helped everybody out. She and the state legislature added language to the state budget, arming local authorities with the power to shut down unlicensed stores permanently. This was followed by a crackdown in May with a joint city task force raiding unlicensed cannabis retailers. The raids involved padlocking stores and leaving court summonses on their doors. To strengthen enforcement, the state also made it easier for landlords to evict tenants selling cannabis illegally. This is half of my face on the screen right now with Yarrow at the bottom.
Adam's transitioning it right now for you, bro.
I'm here to support you.
I'm in full support.
You know,
I'm here to support you.
if Yarrow was here on time, we wouldn't have had that issue.
I was having tech issues as well as psychological glitches.
Apparently.
Yarrow.
Isn't that every day?
The legislation also imposes a $50,000 fine on landlords who failed to initiate eviction proceedings after their tenants notify them of illegal activity. So the landlords are in a sticky situation. The ones who knew what they were doing, whatever. But the ones who did not, they got to either snitch on the tenant, opening themselves up and their families up to possible consequences of said actions, or they risk a $50,000 fine from the city when they find out. Now, I'm in no way of recommending anyone engage in illegal activities, but I'd also like to point out that an easy way to allegedly sidestep all the drama altogether is for the landlords just to set up a deal with the trappers, get them to foot the bill. Everybody eats. You know what I'm saying? So, those are just my thoughts as Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. I want to hear from the rest of the team. Are they going to fix this whole landlord thing? Should the landlords be blamed for all this mess, or is it the tenants? What's going on? How are we going to fix New York? This is the latest in a series of shit.
I don't know. New York seems unfixable, but I think you have a good plan, right? Just have the traps, pay the bills, and get on with our lives.
Well,
keep it moving.
I mean, I could tell you this much about the whole New York thing, you guys. I mean,
You love it.
I love this.
I know.
Yes, it's so good.
It's good.
This is so good. I mean, I just watched a video earlier today of them raiding a shop that like wasn't even inhabited, and they had like a whole printer in there and everything, and they're like, oh, this is definitely getting seized, and so I'm wondering if they're gonna sell that printer. I think that's a really
A Trap Kinko's?
man, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I want to buy that
Packaging is
printer.
really
It's just gonna go for auction. It's a really expensive printer.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't buy it. If you look, it's happening in
Jason just
LA.
wants
It's
to have
happening
that printer.
everywhere else, too. Like, the landlords know what's up. They're getting a cut of it.
Jason-
Like, they're just trying to separate their business and make themselves not seem guilty of what they know it's full well going on. Because, like, if I'm a landlord and, you know, I probably have been in the community for a while, then people have probably told me by now that, hey, there's a trap shop in your property, right? So I'm going to go down there and be like, where's my 10%, dog? So, I mean,
It's the rent.
Let's just see. Oh, no, I think they're getting more than rent. I think they're probably getting cuts. Like,
Well,
look
of
how
course
many-
they are. Did you didn't hear the amount of money that they said that they were paying on rent, like $40,000 a month or something like that, Rico?
43,000.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
catch
that's
that in LA
base.
quick.
That's base. And just think, that's before they mark the shit up for cannabis businesses. You know how fucking they mark that shit up, like landlords.
Have you
Or
seen
the
an
lot.
apartment you can get in New
That's
York
just the
City
average.
for $8,000 a month? I think it's like a shoebox and a closet with like a toilet in the hallway. Like,
Maybe New
you know,
Yorkers don't need a lot to move to live off of.
Apparently.
I wonder where AOC is on this, since she's all about taxing the rich.
I wonder how Donald Trump would fix this with his landlord cheating ass slumdog.
Well, I mean, technically, he'd say it's all legal under the Farm Bill, the bill that he signed into place. It's all THC-A.
No, he would probably just tell the landlords to understate how big the properties are in the first place, so they pay less. Problem solved.
Men are always
That's
lying
right.
about
And
the
then
size
when-
of something. Jesus Christ, huh, Rico?
That's right.
Oh boy.
All right.
I ain't gotta lie, man.
And when somebody wants to rent it, he's going to say how valuable it is suddenly.
I just like the surprise on motherfuckers' face when they see me in person and just how large I am.
Well, I gotta apply the real
large are
estate.
you?
I gotta apply the real estate lens. to
Thank you,
this.
Yarrow.
You know, Biden was involved, as I recollect, in promoting the crack house laws, which
He
were
was.
in the late '80s, early '90s.
That's
which
true.
was an effort to make landlords liable for the activities that happened in their properties. And the idea was that landlords were allowing these decrepit houses to be used as places where people could consume drugs. And I think that was a slippery slope, and I don't think things have improved in respects to insulating landlords from the activities of tenants or associates of tenants. We've even seen an extension of that here in California, where in Sonoma County, PRMD, through code enforcement, has assessed daily fines, not just on tenants, but also on landlords for violating civil codes and hitting people where it hurts, which is their wallets. And the challenge I have is that, you know, landlords are the sitting duck, right? You know, that's easy to track down who owns a property. But I think it's a real slippery slope to make landlords liable for tenant activity, especially without any sort of judicial ruling around the facts or the alleged facts. And so just for me, looking through the landlord lens, I don't like when they go after landlords. I also think it's a little disingenuous in the article for them to say, well, Kathy Hochul finally gave them the power to do X, Y, and Z. We've covered on this show that New York has assessed north of $24 million in fines and collect less than $1 million. And so the idea that they can find their way out of this problem when they're not enforcing the fines they've already assessed just seems like optics and
Yarrow, to play a little bit of playing devil's advocate here, right?
There we go.
If your kid, no, hold on. If your kid is selling drugs on the playground,
Define drugs.
you're the parent.
Yoo-hoo.
Crack cocaine,
Okay.
crack, whatever.
So like New
whatever
Jack
the
City,
illegal
New
drug
Jack
is.
City, replay of New Jack City. You're saying.
Hold on. You had nothing to do. You had nothing to do with your kid picking that up from their OG. Let's just say your kid's like a preteen or something. I'm not talking about like little babies, nothing. In my hypothetical, at least. All right, so let's just say your kid is like lower high school, whatever. He has an OG. You didn't know anything about that shit, and he's selling fucking drugs, and you find that shit out. You, as the parent, are responsible.
You cut out, Rico.
Must be that new camera.
What part did I cut out?
Yeah. You said you as the parent are responsible. In regards to
are you the parent responsible for your kid selling drugs? If your kid is selling drugs at school,
I'll put it to you like this:
watching your kid.
If your child is under 18 and you are in control of them, then yes, you are subject to that liability.
If you're that detached from the situation
Yes.
that you don't realize your kid got a whole ass OG and then started trapping crack cocaine at the local playground, then yeah, you should absolutely be held liable for that because
I think it's a false. I don't think that's the analogy carries through though, because parents' responsibility for the minors they chose to have and are responsible for their care, custody, and control is completely different than a landlord who rents a property to a tenant.
Okay, take it here. Take it here. How are you as a city gonna shut down these shops? You have to go to the source. If you're attacking the drug dealers, you are attacking the symptom. Are you not?
Well, the crack. Okay, so the crack laws that were passed that went after landlords failed to hold the CIA responsible for participating in the trafficking of cocaine in this United States. So if we are going to hold real accountability for the people who are creating these societal problems, I'm all for real accountability, but let's get real about that.
Yarrow, that wasn't like a known thing at the time. So it wasn't like they knew that the CIA was doing all that. But
I can't believe
a reporter knew about it.
I can't believe I'm hearing Yarrow advocating for draining the swamp.
Right? I mean, and as much as I want to agree, like, I get you in theory, but like, if you look at LA for instance, right? We just put a shop, or trying to put a shop in somewhere that was shut down a bunch of times for having illicit activity. We got slowed up on construction because the landlord didn't tell us that he was criminally charged for said thing and has to go through some kind of deference process, right? So that he can have his charges dropped. These landlords aren't by and large just innocent bystanders, some little old lady who's like, oh, they seem like nice gentlemen. They know what the fuck's up. Like, I don't believe that people are
and
this stupid. And if you are, maybe that's not the business you should be running. Like, we're not picking on innocent bystanders.
I'll put it to
it's not even
you ever rent a building before?
Yeah, I was about to say that, Todd.
It's a huge background check. Yeah, there's a huge background check. You got to put deposits.
Well, let's just say they're not going through the background check. Let's just say you're referred by someone. They're still going to ask you. And I've never rented a building without being asked what is going to be the use going on with inside.
Of course. Of course. Let me see your ability to
think
pay.
about you think about what kind of background checks you got to do for $43,000 a month.
Literally.
Who's running your credit? You know what I'm saying?
Guys, it's not that they're targeting the landlords. It's that it's a deterrence. It's the only deterrence they have to say, hey, like, someone's going to be in trouble if this continues, if this persists. But they're not actually just targeting the landlords. This is the only.
I just believe the burden of proof. Yeah. I just believe the burden of proof to be an accessory or a co-conspirator for fraud and criminal activity should be a higher standard than the standard for civil litigation.
That's up to the courts, Yarrow, and not every circumstance that comes in front of the courts is going to be treated like the way you're saying. So it's not like that.
We have two different burden of proof: one in criminal, one in civil. And in civil, it's much lower.
Well, hold on. With all due respect, when you create a system which there's no actual consequences for doing this other than just a fine, it's a rap on the wrist at most. So they have to have a bigger stick to beat someone with more skin in the game. That skin in the game is on the landlord's back, right? Because
someone's advocating for bigger sticks.
Hey. I'm not the one advocating for bigger sticks.
Harder hit.
That's how it works when your legislature doesn't create a system of checks and balances. When you say we're going to legalize it, but we're not going to create any consequences, that's what's creating this fucked up situation in New York as it stands. So it's like Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams, they all fucked up. And that's why it's screwed up right now.
It'll all get better when there's a king in office.
Don't worry.
King Todd Denkin. King Denkin.
I mean, right now we have the
Right now we have a jester.
Yeah, we have a jester in place as a king right now.
That would imply that he's awake.
Blame the landlords.
Mm-hmm.
That implies that he's like an actual doing.
I mean,
I don't even think he's doing that.
The city of New York, I mean, I find this very interesting. The city of New York was highlighting on social media the other day, bragging about the fact that they have closed down 400 illegal trap shops in the city of New York.
Yeah, 400 out of
that's 400
estimated 3,000.
400 motherfuckers ain't paying rent.
And that 400 out of 3,000, it's the city of New York wants to take a victory lap before they ever even win anything. And they've shown that with their rollout and their failed approach to enactment.
I just wonder how many of these places, how many of these 400 places are going to ultimately reopen within the next 30 to 90 days.
I wonder how many of them are open already. I mean, look at, once again, LA. They open the next fucking day. Yep. Okay, you padlocked me. Here's my bolt cutters. I'm going to go trip the power box in the back, turn it back on myself. Have a nice day.
I'm going to rent a generator.
Hey.
Yes.
All right, so if they've shut down.
Seen that a lot. DWP shuts you down, just grab a Jenny.
Nope. Yep.
100%.
All right, so quick math right here.
Yep.
So they have shut down 400 shops, $43,000 a month for those shops in rent is being lost. So that's $1.72 million in rent each month that's being lost. It's been 3 months in that shutdown. Let's just say, times that by 3. So $5.16 million. Oh, scratch that one.
Oh, boy.
$51.6 million in rent money at minimum is being lost right now. We're about to see a crisis like no other right now when these shops become abandoned. And I think these trap shops are going to turn into crack houses, right? These places are going to turn into the places where people are holed up in the city, broken into, and now you're going to have a real broken windows problem because of this. I think this is what we're seeing the beginning of right here.
Make them shooting galleries instead of crack houses.
Wow.
These people are going broke, and it's expensive as fuck. How are you going to fill those tenants? Fill those vacancies? Yarrow, Mr. Real Estate guy.
Well, I think post-COVID,
socks.
Commercial real estate tenancy has taken on a very different look, and I think that in the internet age and in the era of Amazon, commercial brick and mortar is undergoing a transition, a transformation, a metamorphosis that we don't know what the outcome is going to look like. I went shopping at the mall a couple days ago because I got teenagers and somebody needed a bunch of shorts for camp, and I'm looking at the mall and like a quarter of the storefronts are empty or going out of business. So I think the way in which Americans shop is changing, and it's changing the face of commercial retail real estate.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest threat is that without those shops, that there's no way to have a lease.
Yeah, these landlords are going to go broke, and then they're going to sue the city.
We've spent far too much time in New York, bro. We got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.